Ayn Rand, Capitalism, the Unknown Ideal. In Capitalism, the Unknown Ideal, Ayn Rand explores the significance of capitalism and the dangers posed by large government interference in economics and individual freedom. The book emphasizes the need to limit governmental power and disperse its authority in order to protect individual liberties. Furthermore, the author examines the strong connection between economics and politics, and how socialism or centralized control hinders individual freedom. Additionally, Rand delves into the importance of economic freedom as a necessary element for overall liberty.
JFK's call to serve and the role of government. President John F. Kennedy's famous statement, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country," speaks volumes about the era of big government during the Cold War. However, it raises concerns about the role of government in a free democracy. The statement implies that the government is a patron, capable of doing things for citizens that they cannot do for themselves. Rather than viewing government as a lord and master, citizens of a democracy must consider how to use the government to meet responsibilities, achieve common goals, and defend mutual freedoms. The Constitution offers two solutions: limit the scope of governmental power and disperse governmental authority. In other words, government should be exercised at the county level, then the state level, and finally the federal level. This approach will allow citizens to take advantage of government's promise while avoiding its threat to our freedoms. Ultimately, a free person will not ask what their country can do for them or what they can do for their country. Instead, they will view themselves as equal partners in a democratic society. Politics and economics, inseparable consequences. The relationship between politics and economics is strong and interconnected. Economic freedom is necessary for personal freedom, but it is not sufficient. The pursuit of well-being is integral to economic freedom, and a socialist society cannot guarantee individual liberties. Government power must be dispersed to avoid centralized governance, which mostly leads to negative consequences. Individual actions and private enterprises cannot be imitated by the government, and personal liberty must be present, independent of private enterprise, for true freedom. Additionally, a limiting factor in a socialist economy is the lack of political freedom, which arises as all jobs are controlled by the government. Such a situation curbs personal liberty and leads to censorship. In conclusion, democracy and economic freedom cannot be separated, and their correlation must be understood to maintain individual freedom. The liberalism in conservative economics. The book argues that conservative economic policies that allow free choice in the marketplace are, in fact, liberal. They promote free discussion, voluntary cooperation, and imply that coercion is both inappropriate and counterproductive. While political channels are inevitable in resolving disputes, they tend to cause stress on the social cohesion that is integral to a stable society. The book suggests that what we need for economic stability and growth is a reduction of government intervention, not an increase, as the use of political channels tends to cause more harm than good. Furthermore, the book urges readers to understand the reasons why monetary policy is a governmental prerogative and the potential dangers of accepting the government's legally enforced monopoly on money without question. The irony of government intervention. The Great Depression was caused by government mismanagement, leading to a liquidity crisis. The idea that the government should intervene to guarantee economic growth and full employment stems from this period. However, this notion is ironic since it was government intervention that caused the Great Depression in the first place. The Federal Reserve System made mistakes in handling monetary policy, leading to the economic downturn. Government schooling is not the same as education, and the role of government is to enforce rules where markets fail. Rethinking public education. The government's role in public education is an overextension that only justifies certain types of schooling. A literate population is crucial for a democracy, but this does not justify vocational training. The author proposes a voucher system for a minimum education level, allowing parents to decide how to spend it. Capitalism and civil rights. Capitalism has played a vital role in promoting civil rights and equality for various ethnic groups globally, as demonstrated by the ability of the Puritans, Quakers, and Jews to work up the ladder despite societal biases. Contractual agreements during the Middle Ages were also an initial step for the oppressed serfs towards attaining freedom. Paradoxically, minority groups advocate for political and social changes that limit the free forces of capitalism in modern politics. By depending on the majority's actions instead of the free market, minority groups might be myopic as capitalism fosters economic efficacy that considers productivity rather than ethnicity or skin color. When purchasing bread, no one cares about the source of the wheat, but price, which is essential for capitalism. Any minority group that depends utterly on the majority to safeguard their interests is short-sighted. The socially responsible business myth. The belief that businesses have a social responsibility beyond making profits is a dangerous misconception that threatens the foundation of the free market economy. In a free economy, companies have an obligation to increase their profits within the law. Any attempts by corporate leaders to do more could have severe repercussions. The author also argues against the government's involvement in areas like price subsidies, tariffs, rent control, minimum wages, and regulations. They suggest that these interventions distort the market and undermine the principles on which a free economy is based. Even services like public housing, the national park system, and the mail system should be privatized to eliminate government control. The author contends that a market free from government intervention is the only way to ensure economic growth and prosperity. The threats to freedom. The author points out that the benefits of state intervention are visible while the evils are unseen, making it difficult to oppose new government programs. Freedom faces external threats from evil men who seek to destroy it and subtle threats from those who try to overhaul the system. The internal threat comes from well-intentioned people who wish to reform the free market through government intervention and centralization. The author warns that concentrated power is not harmless, even if created with good intentions.
As a takeaway from Capitalism, the Unknown Ideal, the key to economic stability and prosperity lies in minimizing government intervention. Ayn Rand argues that a free market promotes diversity of individual action, and that concentrated power can result in the loss of freedoms, regardless of the good intentions behind it. Capitalism has a history of nurturing civil rights and equality, while socialist policies and government intrusions restrict individual liberties. In order to protect democracy and individual rights, a balanced and limited government, complemented by a free market system, is of utmost importance.